Hello, my name is Corinne Sky, and welcome to episode 4 of Mum Can You Not? And this is my beautiful co-host, my mother.
Hello. Hi, guys. How are you doing?
How are you feeling today, Mum?
Today I'm feeling irie.
Irie. Why do you feel irie?
Yeah, I'm feeling irie.
Isn't irie mean high?
I don't know. There's this song by Lucky Dube that goes, I feel irate. Do you feel irate? So I thought it was, do you feel like I do? So I think, I'm zen. I'm feeling good. Yeah.
I love that for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was with one of my homegirls the other day.
Yeah.
And she told me this story.
You know, when any story that Coco tells me starts with I was with one of my homegirls, it's just going to be a load of rubbish, isn't it?
yeah, this one.
Yeah.
So I was with one of my homegirls, and she said to me, I should ask your advice on this situation. So, Tutu's now, my homegirl, she was dating this guy, and they ended up breaking up. So she goes to like a house party to, meet somebody new and, first date.
That was the plan. That was the plan.
That was the plan. She actually wanted to, she was outside, right?
Okay.
So she pulls up to this motive. It was like a family gathering, but there was like other people there. So she meets this guy. The story all goes down there after. So she meets this guy.
Any story that starts, I was just minding my own business. Then I met this guy. That's where things go left, isn't it?
That's where it all went left. She meets this guy. This guy is handsome. Yeah, he's lang, right? Tall, dark, handsome, saying all the right things.
Okay, we've had all the adjectives describing the guy. Carry on.
He was he came across like a good guy. So they started going out on like dates, and the guy told her that he was a paramedic, like he had a good job. He said that he was like an army paramedic. I don't know what that is. Do you have army paramedics?
Yeah, they are there. Even nurses in the army as well. So any profession you can... that you've got musicians in the army.
Oh.
Yeah, there's the army musical corps or something like that. They actually...
So he was in the paramedic corps of the army. Uh-huh. So she's thinking she's found herself a cash. The guy's got a good job. He had a son, but... It was from a previous relationship. Him and the mom had a good relationship, but they weren't together anymore. Then he also had a niece. So the other time, he's like, I can't take it to my house because I live with my sister. And my sister has a daughter. So anyway.
This generation, Coco's generation, they are not frightened of red flags. They go so near to them to see how red can the flag become.
So people can't live with their sisters now?
No, they go... So, okay, if you're dating somebody, right, and they live with their family are not their romantic relationships, why can you not go to their house and meet their sister?
The relationship is young, and that's what he said. He said that he lives with his sister, and he only lives with his sister because he's always away armying, but things were different now, and he wasn't going to be deployed all of the time. So... by some twist of fate, her cousin happened to work with the sister. So the sister, so while she was working, she was like, can you go to my house to drop off some like documents? So she goes to the sister's house, and while she was at the sister's house, that man comes to the door. So then the man pulls her to the side. This is the cousin, pulls her to the side and is like, I'm so sorry. Like, I know this is really awkward that you've seen me in this place. Please don't tell my home girl. Don't say anything to her. So obviously she's a bit confused because she's thinking that this is the sister. Turns out that this sister was actually the wife and the niece was the child. So this guy wasn't an army paramedic. He was unemployed. So anyways, he then starts messaging her like, because the cousin obviously like snitched and told the whole story. He starts messaging her, telling her like, me and my wife were actually like on the verge of divorce, and we loved each other so much, me and you, and we've really built a close bond, and give me another chance. I know that I lied, but it's because I didn't really want to expose myself because the relationship was young. So my homegirl is asking, what should she do? Because love conquers all.
Huh?
Love conquers all.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was a waste of 5 of my minutes I will never get back. You know, I don't like answering anything to do with relationships and love. I think it's a waste of time. It's a waste of my time, my resources, my voice. You know why?
Why?
People are always going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I've seen people who are dating, you know, the biggest bums under the sun. And they will continue with their bum regardless of whatever red flag is showing. They will continue. So when it comes to relationships, and when somebody comes to you they're just wasting your time. And also what they want to do is just want...
Humor us, mom. Humor us.
No, I don't want to humor you in any... Because it's a waste of my time. I don't want to entertain things that I know... You know, when people want to leave a relationship, right? I think the role of anyone advising anyone, don't advise people that your man is no good, leave them. Don't advise them that your man is cheating on you, they are not good for you, leave them. Any relationship advice which is centered around giving a person advice to make a decision is never going to happen, because those people are asking you because they want you to validate their feelings. So they want you to say to them, you know, they want somebody to hold their hand as they walk into hell. So that's what they're asking. They're asking you to say, please validate my feelings. They don't want to know anything other than what they know. When a person is still asking for advice, they still care for that person, and all they're asking for you is to validate how they feel. When you are done with that man's ass, you'll just see the person back on the streets and saying, you see. So this asking for relationship advice is asking for validation, and I can't validate this.
Mom, we want to start a segment on our podcast where people write like dilemmas.
I don't want to answer anything to do with relationships.
Okay.
You know why? What I'm saying right now is the truth, because people are looking for validation. You know, when you're dating somebody and you can tell that they're not right for you, but you still feel they're right for you, what you're looking is for a second and a third and a fourth person to tell you that they're right for you so that you can continue in this.
Okay.
You're not looking for anyone to tell you that they're not right for you. I know this, trust me. Because it takes, apparently research says, it takes about 7 times for a person to leave an abusive relationship. So they still go back. You know why? Because relationships, there is so many facets to relationships. There's the emotional side. There is the romanticizing. There's the nostalgia. There's the what do I do now? You know when you go into a relationship, you don't go in a relationship to come out of it. You go in a relationship for keeps. Right. So when you go in there, you've already told your brain, there's a part of your brain that activates the longevity. So it keeps on, feeding your brain with the ideal man. That goes back to what we were talking about in the last segment about about when you're being love bombed. Your brain gets stuck in that phase where everything was really good. And you keep on romanticizing it, and your brain keeps on feeding you with all these freeze frames from that time when things were really, really good. And you think, if he was that good one more, he's going to be good again, right? Not knowing that was him love bombing you for you to come into this relationship and just hold you hostage and not do anything for you. With narcissism, even worse, just for them to collect you as part of their, kill their prey. So what you can do as a friend in terms of relationships is just to be there and listen. Whilst they navigate, they rant, they rave, don't give your opinion or your advice. Because if your advice doesn't align with what their brain chemistry, what their heart is telling them, and what they are seeing, you become a hater. And if you love your friend enough, love them quiet. Don't give advice. Because people will do. The last thing you want is an indirect quote tweet on Instagram or Twitter saying people do not want to see us happy because you've given somebody advice that doesn't align with their views of their man. So what you can do is say, I know you're going through a very difficult time. You have conflicting feelings towards this person. I love you, and my love comes without any judgment. If you need to rant, I'm here to listen. If you need to move on from this, I'm here to support you. If you need to stay, I'm there to support you. The worst thing we do as friends, family, agony aunts is wanting to give a very final advice and hope for people to take it. But relationships are very complicated. Love is complicated. Emotions, feelings are complicated because there is many facets to it. It's not as straightforward. And because you are from the outside looking in, it's very easy for me to say, you will waste your time. But if the person who's in the relationship is asking, they're not asking for my advice, they're asking for my view that aligns or validates the nonsense. So if you do not want to, your views are not aligning or validating the nonsense, it's better to keep quiet and say, I will love you through this very difficult time.
Yeah.
That's what friends do. When it comes to relationships, everything else we can give each other advice. Is this the right job for me? Is this the right shoe for me? Am I too busy in my outfit? Let's give advice on that. Relationships are a no-go area. Don't alienate your friends by giving them advice that does not sit with how they are going. That's the best way of them of them feeling judged. Because people go back to the relationships that don't even serve them, that don't even do anything because they're holding on to that time. It's love is like dopamine. It's a dopamine fix. You're still looking for that hit from that time when you were sending you flowers and sleeping on the phone with you and doing all these things. You're holding on to that so much that everything else that's now happening, which is your reality, you don't want to see. So you now coming and telling them to wake up from this little dream, this romance that what you're doing is violence. You actually are an op to them. So when your friends are going through these things, ladies and gentlemen out there, don't come up with ultimate, what you're simply doing is you're hurting them. They're already hurt with the situation. Everything that you're telling them, they know. With their own flesh and blood eyes, they know that this nigga ain't shit. They know that. But their brain is still saying, but he's the same guy who was buying you flowers. He's the same guy who was putting you on Instagram. He's the same guy who was taking you on these romantic days. So they're in such a difficult space. And being in that difficult space, you do not then want outside noise from people. And human beings, are amazing. They'll figure all these things out themselves. So any one of you girlies going through this business, don't send a dilemma of say, should I go, should I stay? Does he really love me? You know this. You've got an answer to this already. All you're trying to do is find somebody who validates the nonsense that you are feeding your brain. In this case, let me tell you something. Men never leave their wives. If they leave their wives, they're not leaving them because of you. They've always intended to leave. So, if you are dating a married man who is intending to leave their wife, what you're simply doing is you are helping them stay in their relationship. That's what you're doing. You are you are the stabilizer of that relationship. You see, and if you're happy with that, there are many models. Coco and I are always having this very interesting conversations when it comes to more relationships. I don't believe, and don't come for me because these are also my beliefs.
I do not anything crazy. She starts, don't come for me.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I think monogamy is an ideology. So one man, one woman is an ideology. It's something that we all are thriving to, but monogamy doesn't actually exist. Even if your men are not sleeping with other women, they are having some level of relationships with them. Be it just, admiring them, be it giving them money that, they're having relationships that they cannot say to you, that they cannot repeat. That I went with Anna for lunch today and we had a lovely lunch and we started talking about things. They are not declaring anything. So there are so many undeclarable relationships in tandem with your own marriage. So this monogamy business, you have to be honest with yourself, it's non-existent. It does not exist.
I do think monogamy exists. there are serious monogamists, but I don't think it's as common as it appears. That everybody who's in a monogamous relationship is monogamous.
Right. So if you're going by the rule is the majority rules.
I don't know the sample size.
So, but I'm saying the majority rules.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, I've been in this world for a while. I know for a fact I've spoken to men who would never declare to their wives that they are speaking to me, even though we haven't slept with each other. But they would never declare our conversation, our interaction, our relationship to their partner. So anything you can't bring home and say, oh, I was just on the phone for 1.5 hours with memory, you are cheating. Anything that you cannot declare in a relationship means that it's offside. So some people don't take it the whole way where they have a full-blown fledged affair. Some will emotionally cheat.
Some will be just like flirting.
Some will, yeah. So
some are very friendly in a way that's varying from saintly. Yeah.
Even women as well. If you're having a relationship with a man where you can't say, before I got home, I drove all the way for 2 hours in my commute speaking to Tom.
John, yeah.
Or John, it's still cheating. So there are levels of cheating. There's level 1, which is like the flirting. You came into my life a bit late. No, those things. That happen every day.
That line, yeah.
That happens every day. And then that's level 1. So level 2 is having these in-depth, heart-to-heart conversations with women you've got no business having conversations with. Tete is not your sister. They're not related to you, but you're spending so much time and you're emotionally invested in them. You're even one of their first good mornings.
It's those female best friends.
Those female best friends, yeah. So I think monogamy is overrated. And I think personally, to protect each other's emotions, people should just learn to realize that there's going to be realistic, be very realistic. And only realistic like that, know that your wife has got a best friend that they're never going to tell you about. And your husband probably has got a few best friends and very good friends that they're never going to tell you about. And then keep it pushing. Because we put so much unnecessary pressure on each other over this business of monogamy. I'm your one and only.
What I think it is, what you're saying about the one and only thing. Like when you enter like a marriage or like a long-term relationship, there's this expectation to be everything to one another. That like some of these relationships that you're talking about, these like non-halal relationships that aren't necessarily sexual, but there is like some kind of emotional cheating there. I think it's maybe the people wanting a sense of like individuality that they don't have to. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what part of it is. Because I'm trying to think, if you've got a friend that's your bestie, why can't we all be besties?
But that's the problem, and also because I think people become very unhappy with this monogamy model, in the sense that you are really trying to fit a triangle into a circle. It's never going to happen. Human beings are social beings, and we love to spread ourselves around very, very well, right? What I'm saying is, I'm not talking of shure or not being a slut, because there are some people who are free lovers who just will sleep with the next person to the next person. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way we were raised to socialize, the way we were raised to interact. So monogamy is the ideal. That's what we are thriving for. But not many people will reach this monogamy heaven. Right?
Yeah.
People will fall and falter along the way, and people will not succeed in it. And sometimes even if we want, the level of success comes with a lot of pain. Some people become so miserable in this model of being monogamous that the relationship doesn't serve them what it needs to serve, because you're now just staying in there saying John so or Peter. There's so many things that the relationships, the way we relate as human beings is very complicated and complex. This is why I'm always saying this. and you know that relationships and how you define a relationship is very personal to you. This is why it's important also not to share the details of your relationship, because your way of relating might not be how the next person relates. Right? And because the next person doesn't relate the way you relate, they start going, hakuna zvakadaro, hazviko izvozvo. But zviriko, people are relating, and that's what's keeping everybody afloat. That's what's keeping everybody happy. So whatever relationship, if you decide that, there's no good men out there, let me go and find a happy relationship and join them. If they allow you to join them, good for you. If you realize that, I don't want to,
sister wife.
Let me go and join them because, they're happy, let's just go and join. That's entirely up to you. But what you also need to know is be in a relationship that serves and fulfills you. Some people are always going to be happy to be side chicks. That's them. And they would never want. I actually spoke to somebody when I went back home to Zim. And they were so bothered. It was very genuine. They had dry lips and they were scratching and they were scared. And I was like, what's really bothering you? And he says, my boyfriend has left their wife and they're coming to live with me. I'm like,
okay.
They've left their wife and this. I didn't want that. It's okay the way it was. Me seeing him occasionally here and there kept the spark. I can't live with him. What do I do? That's them. To other people, it would be like, yay! I get to get my man. I went through this, depressive phase of having to share him. But one thing I will tell you, which I know for a fact, and God bless the late Richard Pryor. When men marry their mistresses, it creates a vacancy.
Another mistress. Oh, my day.
When men marry you as a mistress or as a side chick, it creates a vacancy. That vacancy has to be
filled.
There you go. So don't think because you've gotten this man, they've married you, and now the wife is going to be happily ever after. For that equilibrium to carry on the way it is, because men are that man is who he is. That man is what they are. You have not won him. You might and you might sit in this weird comfort. And what I'm saying today is making me. I know I'm sounding a bit controversial, but that's the truth. From what I've seen, this is my truth. There are many truths out there. It doesn't necessarily mean that if it's my truth, it's everybody's truth. Yeah. Every time a man marries a mistress, they create a vacancy.
Yeah. What did they say? What goes around comes around.
Definitely comes around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's not even worth it, like, playing bad in a relationship, because what's your end goal with that?
That's why I'm saying that different
really
people, some people like being assistive, marriage assistants, which is
marital assistants.
Marital assistants. Some like to be, shadow wives. Shadow wives, just lurking in the back. Yeah, some like to be, next in line. It varies.
Because if I stole someone's man, I'd just be thinking the whole time that if you can do this to your current babes,
but this is the thing. Though you've already
statistically,
you've already lost it at that. Wow. Men are never stolen. You cannot steal a man.
No, but you know what
they've put themselves in a place where they're in a place with no pin. Yeah, with no pin. And they're going, is there anybody to steal me? They're ready to be stolen.
Ma'am, right? You can't steal a man, but there are some people who do intrude into relationships. You can't evade that there are people who evade into
I don't believe that either.
No,
a relationship cannot be invaded or intruded into unless there is a gap. One of you are letting it.
Not saying that the person now runs away.
No.
We're saying that there are people out there who try to forcibly take other people's partners.
So hostile takeovers, they don't happen without the hostage.
We're not going that far. We're saying that are there people who exist who try and intrude into people's relationships?
Right. Okay. I'm going to answer this, but my answer is going to be very long in the sense that, what you're asking is neither here nor there. People are always going to be people, right? People are going to know that you are married, and some people actually openly admit that they are attracted to married men or attracted to people in relationships. They like that whole.
There is a group of people who are.
They like that whole seeing how far they can get away with it. Right. So in those particular situations, I think the most attractive and most effective way of dealing with people who are attempting or intending a hostile takeover is never to be vulnerable. You know that business where people go and write indirects about people who are sliding into their men's DMs. That's not a graceful way of dealing with it. What you're just doing is telling the op that you've seen what them. They're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And they thrive on that. That now you've identified that that's me doing what I'm doing. And then there's this element that we do as women of disempowering men, making them helpless, that we are there to save them from this intruder. That doesn't help as well.
Bedroom intruder.
Yeah, this bedroom bully. This bedroom bully who's coming.
Not the bedroom bully.
We are there fighting. Men are not helpless. Men actually find these games very interesting. They'll be sat there going, and you are there jumping all over each other, and they're just like
just a boy.
And they don't, there was somebody was telling me about a very interesting story. I don't know if it was you or a friend of mine, I can't remember. This happened to a friend of mine, actually. They went to a club, right? You know this friend of mine. They went to a club with their man. They're having fun, having drinks, kissing on their man, doing all this, right? My friend, right, is one of those women who will fuck up a bitch. If they look at their husband, partner, the wrong way, they're willing to go to war when it comes to their man. And the man likes that. The man absolutely loves it.
Yeah.
Because every time this happens, he feels this, when you feel like, I'm the man.
Man because it's girls.
So I was saying, we were talking with this aunt of yours, and I said, so again, that's their thing, isn't it? He sometimes goes, like proper leaves the marriage, goes with some women. She goes and grabs him back and fights the woman, brings him back, and then he goes again.
Sounds like that's what they're into.
Right. So what I was trying to say was, your relationship, the moment these bedroom bullies stop coming, that's when you're going to divorce. When your man stops getting these people chasing after him and there's no one to fight. Because right now, what is keeping you together is the perceived threat. The perceived the perceived bedroom bullies were always fighting, wanting to get your man. Yeah. The moment these people stop coming for your man, do you know that's when you divorce? And then she was like, never, it will not happen. We're going to get to a point where everything is going to be stable. Right. So the dry season came. No bedroom bullies were coming for the man. What happened? They divorced because nothing was happening in that relationship.
Do you think that they got off on that whole
That's why they got off.
It was their thing.
That was their thing. That was their thing. A perceived threat. She goes, Nino, look, I'm being taken. She jumps and fights this person and she saves the day, brings him back home. And they live to fight another day.
Yeah.
You see. So now, when all these people were saying, so-and-so's husband is a problem, don't go near him. People stopped going anywhere near him. So there are no threats. There's no anyone for him to fight. Now you're actually having to now see each other, you and your husband, for who you are, how shitty your relationship is. Because, if you've got all these things happening, they distract you from actually...
Yeah, that's a good point.
From actually facing each other and seeing that there's nothing between you two.
There's nothing there.
So... that's the longest answer I was giving to your question. That, do you think that these threats are always going to be there? Yeah. It depends what they do to your relationship. Some people would never fight another woman for their man. Once you take him, they'll bring their suitcases. They'll bring their suitcases. You will get to learn and get to know each other. I'm gone.
I personally have too much shame to fight with somebody for a man.
But you see, that was the model that was promoted when I was growing up. But sometimes you find, and you know that the worst thing about these things that you fight for, most of the times they're never yours.
Do you know what's embarrassing? Like, say your man's a serial philanderer, and then you go into like his DMs or you go through his phone, and it's just him. With all these girls get head. Like nobody even wants you. I'm the one with the trash.
Let me tell you.
He's just getting blue tick. He's getting blue tick. He's out here promising the world
one of my friend, right? This is so funny. One of my friend had the guy was my friend, not the wife. I knew the guy. So the guy was a diabetic patient, type 2 diabetic, right? So had a very lovely wife. You know those women who are homely, who are about supporting from the background. You know those women that...
Like women,
vakadzi, vanomira nyangu kurema kwazvo, kunoda madzimai, those ones. That was her. So anyway, she's doing all this, going to church, praying for the man and whatever. The man is out here in the streets, really out here in the streets. So he meets his match, right? Meets this girl. And they start dating. But because, because I'm in the music industry, I manage an artist, so I get to see some of these very interesting characters. So he was on the road, this friend of mine. He was on the road, right? Minding his own business. Meets this girl, right? Falls in love. Bear in mind, I knew a wife at home. Falls in love with this new girl. So they're keeping it pushing. And new relationships are warm. Everything is brand new. Like, you see this person. And you're like, this is not what I'm getting there from this warmly woman. This woman is, that's not what I want, this. Yeah. So anyway, they're doing their thing. They're seeing each other, right? He goes away on roads again. She's left home. This new side chick. This side chick is left at home. So the guy is away, he comes back, sees pregnancy tests in the bin. He rings me excited. He's like, but this person doesn't want to tell me about it, this and that, this and the third. I'm like, oh, okay. So they go again on another tour. This friend of mine goes away on another tour. So whilst they're on tour, he brings everything from this tour for the baby, right? And he was like, so he's wanting to surprise his boys, and they're in a relationship 4 months in, it's fresh, it's strong.
And they're expecting
a baby.
Yeah.
So he goes, hey, babe, you're right. I knew you didn't know how to tell me, but I found out. So anyway, this is things for our baby. The girl, right? Because this girl is about her honesty in these streets. He goes, you know what? She goes, you know what? I'm so sorry you had find out that way. I didn't even want to tell you because I wasn't sure if this baby is even yours. Because what do you mean? Because, well, I wasn't just seeing you or seeing another person. So what we can do is we can wait until the baby is born. And then, so in the interim, I would pipe down you buying me things and bringing them.
It's actually like a decent last,
So anyway,
she could have finessed it.
My friend now, the wife texts, are you okay? My friend is not responding to the wife because he's now in this new relationship where he can see his future with this lovely girl they just met at they don't know much about each other, but then she was just thinking it's a fling. He's thinking he's found the one. And it's forever. So anyway, he decided he was going to die, so he took all his insulin and everything and threw it in the bin and wasn't going to take it. He was so heartbroken. I was like, listen.
He was heartbroken, but he's got a wife.
Yeah.
So what did his wife think was going on?
This is the thing. Many of these men, when you see them come home very stressed, it's because of their side chicks. It's because of their side chicks. He gets home, he's like, so I was like, so what is my so-and-so thinking about this whole thing? He's going, I was just saying to you, this poor woman is rushing around getting cups of tea and whatever, not knowing that this man is heartbroken. she's going around and she's like, oh, don't remember salt. Maybe you're being bewitched.
No.
Yeah. So be very careful. You know, when your men are coming from out here and they're acting all funny and all unwell, it's purely just heartbreaks.
They've been fighting with their girlfriends.
Because I never realized that, you know, men actually get heartbreaks from their side chicks.
Nah, but men, like, they're the kind of people who'll be crying over that girl who, like, broke their heart in secondary school, but they're, like, 50 years old. Like, men can't really, like, take, you know, being done dirty. Whereas women, we're always getting
That it becomes, you know, the thing is, you know, when our parents are raising us, or mothers, when they were raising us, there's one lesson they forgot. You know, we're taught to be good wives. We're taught to always respect our husbands. Murume ndiem sorowemba. You are the neck, so you can, a neck without a head doesn't function and stuff like that. No one ever told us that when you get into these relationships, men are going to do a number on you. They're going to do a shanduli. No one goes that further.
Yeah.
Because I think even if you've gone through it yourself as a mother, if you've gone through a very difficult relationship, you still are. It's this romanticizing of love that has brought us here, where we are talking about
The
this.
romanticizing of love. What do you mean by that?
It's when people say, oh, you know, chengeta murume wako and everything will be fine. So then when you are doing everything that you are taught, and this man is still, you know, that's where the disillusionment starts. And you start blaming yourself because your parents never say to you, they still might cheat even after. It doesn't come with a might. It's very varuma vadimuna anopfeka like that. Right. Ukadaro murume wako anoenda.
Like all the blame is put on the women.
So
like,
then you're thinking, I've done everything as I was supposed to do it. I go to church. I'm actually I cook for my husband. When he demands sex off me, which is like once every 6 months because he's busy with everybody else, I give it to him. Yeah. I do everything that I'm supposed to, but this marriage is still not working. Surely it must be something wrong with me. Because in this, our parents have forgotten to give us the disclaimer that you might be the most amazing thing under the sun. He still might leave you. And then if that was ever put as part of our learning life lessons, we would be very okay with breakups. And even the way you are viewed when you come home, akadzoswa. It's never akadzoka. There's never any empowerment in living. It's because you're never the right thing for that man, so he shunned you. You were never the right thing for that relationship, so he left you. So there's always this burden of proof, burden of performance, burden on women when it comes to relationships. And a relationship can only work because you are doing the right thing. A man will only stay because you're a virgin. A man will only stay if you don't shout. If you talk too much, men don't like that. You see? So everything is on us to hold it together. This is why you find that's why I don't, you always say, Mom, what do you mean when you say I don't socialize with women? Women come from very difficult positions, and when they come out, they want to fight everyone. I might look exactly like, somebody that has hit them along the way and they want to fight me. You see, women are operating on a high stress bandwidth that they will knock out a bitch for no reason. You just have to look at them wrong or look like you're too happy. And they want to fight you.
No, most women aren't like that, Mom. Like 99% of women are not like that.
Nah.
Only 1% of like tightly wound. Maybe it's a generational thing.
What's the common denominator in those women that you're talking about? Are they married?
Yeah, a lot of them are in relationships.
And they're very happy.
They're all right. They're great people. Most of the women I know are married. I actually know like less people who aren't married than who are.
I think the institution of marriage has got a lot of past and a lot of we as much as we pray for marriages, let's be realistic when we teach our children.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't be like taught to, shame or it's your fault. That's why all that rhetoric that
and sometimes I found people losing their authenticity for these marriages, You become a caricature for a marriage. You become this Stepford wife.
Do you know what it is? I think for me, like the kind of women I hang around with, they're not like really religious. So I think that their version of like marriage or like how they present is different from like women who are like brought up in the church, and it's very much a religious thing for them. So the women I know, if it's peak, they're just normal. And most of the conversations we have, they're not around like men. It's more around like self-improvement, business and stuff like that. But I can't say I know many people like that, because I really don't.
I think also the other thing is because the community you are in is a very parasocial community. You meet these people at a very fleeting moment. Marriages in general are hard. If you then add in, No, but
I'm answering what you said, that you don't like being in women's spaces.
No, I don't like. And also the other thing is, I don't like being in women's spaces. You know why? Because some of the women, I know them on a very personal level, and when I now see them in these women's spaces talking about things that are not real, I worry and I get very concerned.
I think it's a generational thing, and I think it's a religious thing.
You will realize that, because many of you, bear in mind, you are in your 20s, right? Many of you are just starting to get married. Marriage isn't done ishanduli. Most of these people are in a very honeymoon phase. Marriage hasn't marriaged. Life hasn't lifed.
No, but I'm saying it's not about the relationship per se. It's about what the relationship makes you, right? So if you're in a relationship and the relationship turns you into this like bitter, nasty person, you start being horrible to other people because of your own
what I'm saying is, because the people you're talking about, you're meeting them in their honeymoon phase. They are nice because the marriage hasn't started marrying. Let's have this conversation. Let's pack this, right? And let's see each other in 10 years is too long. 3 years down the line, when marriages started actually marrying, where people are now, when challenges that, I'm not saying that the Institute of Marriage is an amazing institute, because if it's done well and people are very honest in their perceptions of that institute, they'll realize that it's got a space in modern society, but also let's not stay in it for the sake of staying in it.
I think you're more likely to see that in religious communities.
I don't think so.
I think it's more common in religious communities.
I know
me myself. Let me just finish. I know myself. I'm not religious, and I wasn't raised in a religious community that I would be very comfortable with leaving a relationship that doesn't serve me. And I feel like a lot of people who aren't from religious circles have the same mentality, and they're the kind of women I know that I don't think that a bad relationship would make me be horrible to other people.
But the thing is, what we're trying to,
what I mean?
I get what you're saying. Any relationship, if you put in the burden of religion or the burden of culture into it, it becomes more complex. But having said that, I think as a sister's keeper, my responsibility is to say institutes like marriage are very important. They still have got value and space in any society. But let's not stay in them because culture or religion or our personal convictions dictate us to stay. Let's stay in them because they are they're serving us and they're making us better people. Because I've seen people who have got marriages that are painful and hurt people. What do? They
hurt people.
Yeah, hurt people. So any relationship that doesn't bring out the best in you, you have to question it. Anything that you are now enjoying, it becomes very like the Passion of Christ. It becomes hard. So
we shouldn't be taught to enjoy relationships, enjoy them.
Enjoying are different things. But also, there has to be a nice balance. There are some things that we have to endure. Like, take, for example, if you're going through a very dry spell in terms of finances, dry spell in terms of trying to make things work, illnesses and stuff like that. Those are not things that are man-made. That's where the endurance should only be. But you shouldn't enjoy domestic violence. You shouldn't enjoy people who are mean to you or cruel. Cruelty is not to be enjoyed, because what it does, you absorb it. It has to come out somewhere. Yeah, but it has to come out somewhere, because if somebody is being cruel to you and you're absorbing it, then leaks into other relationships where you don't intend for it to leak. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're finished now.
We're finished? Oh, no, we still have got 12 minutes.
We've got 12 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. So, again, there's something I saw on social media, right? So, we're talking about, I was talking about, this was when I was talking to some person about the impact social media has had on how we view the world. Like all these very prim and proper women who've got a 6-inch waist, these big boobs and the big bum. And we're talking about that not being a very achievable aesthetic. But every one of us are under pressure to achieve that. What do you think, being a person who works in social media and does a lot of stuff in social media, what do you think, as a person, what do you think you should do or advise other people who are under pressure from these unachievable relationships, image and love models that we see?
I think that people need to realize that social media platforms are a business. They're a business for the people who run them, and they're a business for the people who are trying to sell things on those platforms. Anybody with a large following on social media is selling something. Like, wherever it is, they're selling something. And part of selling is marketing. Now, marketing is not a honest representation of what necessarily you're looking at. And when we're looking at like body image and people doing all this surgery and these unrealistic body types that don't exist, they only exist on social media 9 out of 10 times, because I've actually never met people in real life
who look like
that. I haven't.
Or even when you see them in real life, the people you see on social media,
they don't even
but they actually don't look like that.
Exactly. So I think as individuals, we have a responsibility to be sensible and to also work on our own love for ourselves and not compare ourselves to things that aren't real. It's like trying to be in competition with an AI babe. That's the same thing. 90% of the stuff that you see on social media isn't real, and if it's not real, it's smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors.
And I think that's what people don't be given peer pressure by things that aren't real. That's a bit.
And lastly, do you think P. Diddy is going to go to jail?
I hope so.
I'm such a strong believer in the universe. It's sometimes that it just takes a long time before it responds or obeys. But everything that you do under this sun does not go unpunished. The amount of people
have the order of the world, isn't it?
It is the order of the world. It's the law of casualty. There's always a cause and effect in everything that you do. But when it's happening, when they're in their heydays, this is the same with all these social media people. This is going to come home to roost. These lies that people put and purport on social media and make people feel so much under pressure. Because I remember growing up, I used to think, oh God, look at the P. Diddy's of this world, are these black men making it? But if you do, because no one ever tells you about what's underneath. You just see all this lovely flower. You don't see what is feeding the flower. Sometimes it's crap. Sometimes it's all sorts of weird, all sorts of weird things that are feeding it to blossom this much. So I think what we need to leave with our viewers is that, guys, some of these things we are admiring now. I used to be a great admirer of P. Diddy, Bad Boy Music and Bad Boy for Life, all these things. I used to be a stan for those things, but I'm looking at how those things have aged and some of the things that we are hearing, that people were not being paid, all these things. Then you don't know, because you're just looking and thinking, life has given them so much privilege. So I think with all this privilege that we acquire as we go through life, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with us. But many people negate the responsibility that comes with the privilege. They just love the privilege part of it. So, I'm so much in love with the universe right now. The way it's getting people.
No, people are getting cooked left, right, and center. Yeah, I think that is the natural order of the world.
Yeah.
And I think as people, we also need to not put people on pedestals.
This
Like
is the thing.
whole
They're equally.
idolization of people.
And now knowing, because I've seen some people I've admired. This is the thing. When you work behind the scenes with some of these people, you see how flawed they are as individuals. But because we are used so much to idolizing people because they sing or dance better than we do, and then we think that they don't drink the same water as us, don't have the same struggles and challenges. The moment we treat them like human beings, then we know then that they're flawed. Yeah.
True.
Anyway, with that bit of internet gossip and internet banter, thank you so much for tuning in again. And those ones who have not subscribed, please subscribe.
Yes.
Those ones who are liking what we're talking about, please come and carry on liking. Those ones who have a problem with what I'm saying, remain with your peace.
Well, what would you do if you wake up one morning getting cooked on the internet?
I don't know what I'll do. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Bye.
Bye.